Path of Exile 2 has completely ruined my life, and I'm confident that with my help, it can ruin yours too. I'm now doing tier 8 maps, and it wasn't until around tier 5 or 6 that Endgame started really clicking for me. I've clocked in around 130 hours into the game, and as someone that doesn't have unlimited free time, let me tell you that's quite a bit. Through a combination of my own experiences, all of the streams I've been watching, and of course videos from other fantastic creators, I put together some useful endgame tips that I wish I knew earlier on and that would maybe have made it easier for me to get through. I usually play with controller just for comfort, so bear with me if I don't know any of the shortcuts. But the first thing I wanted to talk about is Delirium. In the endgame, on your Atlas map, you may have come across some of these Delirium nodes over here, which allows you to get those Distilled Emotions. You run through a mirror, the map gets all foggy, and you have to fight a bunch of enemies. By doing so, you will get some Distilled Emotions over here, and you might not know what they're really for, but they do some pretty cool stuff. Just by hovering over it, you can see a really useful tooltip over here which explains what it does. They can be combined with other Distilled Emotions to instill Amulets with notable passive skills, or Waystones with layers of Delirium, so you can also power up Waystones with additional modifiers. What that means is any of these big notable nodes, you can instill onto your Amulet so that your Amulet has that power. This can be super useful if you want to get one of those notable skills that's miles away from where you've actually built your character. A popular one with a Monk Shatter build is this one over here, the Doomsayer. It increases your Herald skill's area of effect and damage by 30% each. But how's anyone going to get to that? Your monk tree is all the way over here. You would have to beeline over just for that one notable passive. That's not really viable. Whilst looking at the passive here, you hold Alt to inspect it or R3 on your controller, and it will tell you which Distilled Emotions and in which order you need to use them in order to anoint your amulet with a notable passive skill. In this case, we've got Paranoia, Guilt, and Disgust. With your amulet unequipped, we can right-click any of the Distilled Emotions to open up the Instilling window over here. Let's control and click our amulet into that window, and it was Paranoia, Guilt, Disgust. Let's put them in that order, and then you can see this will put the Doomsayer notable passive skill onto the amulet. It will like tie it together with the amulet, so when you have the amulet equipped, you will have access to that passive skill. Let's go ahead and instill that. Boom! Look at that. Allocates Doomsayer. That is super sick. Love that for us. This can also be overwritten, so if you had access to other Distilled Emotions, maybe ones that are easier to get, that drop easier, you could put that on first and then put another one on afterwards. Now, when I equip my amulet, you're going to see something pretty neat. When we look at the Doomsayer skill, the notable passive skill, that is now lit up. I have that. I have that skill. It is equipped because it's on my amulet. And you can do that with any notable passive skill in the game. They all have a different combination of Distilled Emotions. You cannot, however, do it with those Uber nodes over here like this. If you hold Alt to inspect, there is no combination of Distilled Emotions here. However, this notable passive with this shield, it does have a combination. Love that. Very cool. What you can also do is you can use your Distilled Emotions to further power up the Waystones with layers of Delirium. So we can right click to use this again. Let's pop it in that window, just that one, the Distilled Ire, and let's pop one of my tier 8 Waystones into there. Now what you can see this is doing is it's adding 20% increased magic monsters, and players in area are 7% delirious. What the delirious refers to is that fog that you see on the map. On the Delirium maps, that fog, it's 7% foggy, 7% delirious, and you can't clear that, you can't wipe it. There are different modifiers for the different Distilled Emotions, and they do stack together. So if we were to put on one Distilled Greed, it says players in the area are 10% delirious, and you've got an 8% increased rarity of items found in this area, which is super cool. So if you want to really buff up one of your Waystones for more rarity, for more Precursor tablets, for anything like that, you can do that with Delirium, and it'll really have a very strong impact. So for your mega Waystones that you really want to get everything out of, you can do that. That is an option, and you'll progress even more. Much like Asian children to their parents, Strongboxes are incredibly disappointing. What you may not have known is that these can actually be upgraded. So, like any other piece of gear, you can identify them if they need identifying, and you can use currency to upgrade them. This is a bit of an annoying example because I happen to run into a rare one with a bunch of modifiers on it, but the majority of the Strongboxes I have found, maybe even all of them, I don't know if I've even found a rare one before, they've all been like magic, right? With one modifier on or something like that. So what you can do, I'm on controller now here because that's how I usually play, is you can open it up with controller. You hold X, maybe with keyboard and mouse, you just open up your inventory and open up your currencies and stuff. But you can actually apply your currencies to them here. So you can add more affixes if it's a magic item. You can use a regal orb to turn it into a rare one if you like. You can pop exalts on it as well to apply more modifiers onto it as well, like this, like so. That's just put +1 chest level on it with that exalt. Very, very cool. So I'm not saying spank out all of your currencies every time you hit a strong box. What I am saying is, as much as they are kind of like rubbish and disappointing, you can at least improve it a little bit by maxing out the magic modifiers, for example, or if regal orbs really don't mean much to you, popping regal orbs as well. You'll get a lot more out of your strong boxes and they'll just be more useful. And then all that's left is actually being able to do it. That froze me. God damn. Bada bing, bada boom. Oh, snap, dude. Damn, that thing nearly blew me up at the end. So look at that. That's not bad. As far as strong boxes go, that is not bad. They have not been that good for me previously. Worth it if you've got the spare currency at least. The next thing I want to talk about is using Vaal orbs to upgrade your gear unpredictably, and then it corrupts it so it can no longer be upgraded any further. What this can do on your weapons is increase it to 3 rune slots. You can also do the same for your chest piece as well. If you know anything about runes and the sorts of upgrades you can get with them, you'll know that that is a huge deal and will have a massive impact on your damage. But what you might not know is you can also use them on your skill gems to increase the amount of skill gem slots they've got, which is the way to increase the damage of your skills. Like, it's unmatched. It can increase the slots by 1, it can decrease it by 1, and it can do some other weird stuff and maybe even nothing at all. Like here with Herald of Thunder, it's got 3 slots. I'm pretty sure I used this when I already used the Lesser Jeweler's Orb, so it already had 3 slots. So I'm pretty sure it didn't actually do anything to it. But what you can do is you can increase something from 2 slots to 3, 3 to 4, etc. by using a Vaal orb. The Jeweler's Orbs are really rare. It's very difficult to get the Greater Jeweler's Orbs to drop, and even rarer for the Perfect Jeweler's Orb to drop. I've gotten 1 in all of my playtime, which I used on my Ice Strike over here. Look at that bad boy, 5 slots. Oh dear God. Suffice it to say, that is not the norm. It's very, very rare to get the Greater and the Perfect Jeweler's Orbs. So the Vaal Orbs are a very attractive alternative. Here, we've got a Killing Palm that's 3 slots over here. Let's try that. Let's just see what happens. If we right-click the Vaal Orb and then we try and corrupt it, that's gone down to 2. So it can go negatively as well. You have to be prepared for that to happen. So I wouldn't really use it on something that you've got 4 slots on that you're trying to get to 5 slots. Personally, it depends on where you are in the game, and like, yeah, it depends where you are in the game. Maybe if that's something that you can do quite freely compared to the Perfect Jeweler's Orbs, that might be something you want to check out. You can definitely have a think about that one. All of these have got 2 slots over here. Let's try it with these. Okay, pop that in. -1 level from corruption. Okay, cool. Excellent. -1 gem slot. Okay. That's gone down to 1 slot. Cool. There we go. Hand of Chayula. 3 slots. Very sick. Bada bing, bada boom. Now, as with your gear, when your skill gems are corrupted, they can no longer be upgraded. In that, you can't upgrade the quality of it. You can still level it up if you want to, so it's not completely bricked in that sense. But if you wanted to increase the quality of the gem, for example, that is something you're going to have to do before you gamble with a Vaal and just hope for a positive outcome. Here we can see that. Boom. Upgrade it. It's a level 16 skill now, right? So you can still do that. The next thing I want to talk about is Waystones and your Waystone economy, because that's really, really tough when you're first into the end game. You don't really know what you're doing. Maps are kind of one-shotting you because clearly your gear is not good enough. It's really rough, and to keep on top of the sustain of Waystones, there are a few things that you can do. The first thing is to make sure that you're actually powering them up with your currency so that you increase your Waystone drop chance on them. Okay, let's grab this tier 9 over here. It is a magic one, so they do come in the like regular common rarity as well, the white rarity here, in which case you can use the Orb of Transmutation to turn it into a magic, or you can even use a Orb of Alchemy and just straight up make it rare. If you want to do that, that is something you can do. It's definitely worth considering. Let's take a look at this one, this tier 9 magic one. We can use an Orb of Augmentation to add that. You see how when we only had the positive, it didn't add that increased Waystone drop chance. When we had the 32% increased amount of rare chests, that's only a positive. But it doesn't add it unless you get the negative affixes. But then adding the second one, monsters gain 25% of maximum life as extra maximum energy shield. That is negative. That is something that's tricky for you to deal with. That adds the increased Waystone drop chance. You can as well, because that's already maxed out on the magic affixes there. We can turn it into a rare. So let's pop a Regal on that. And that has made it 150% chance to drop Waystones because it's added another negative to it. Area has patches of chilled ground. My cat's meowing. Trying to record a video. Yes. Okay. Are you done meowing? Your breath stinks. So we've got 2 negative affixes on here and it's 150%. Now what we can also do is you can use exalts on it to increase that even further. You're going for the negative affixes here, right? Because that increases the Waystone drop chance. So this is also added. Monsters deal 33% of damage as extra fire. And all of a sudden, this is now 245% increased chance to drop Waystones. That's sick. And that's going to really help with your Waystone economy and ensure that each time you're running them, even if you do fail it, you've got a pretty damn good chance as you're traversing through for more to drop. And it doesn't always have to be at the level that you're doing them. If you do a good Waystone that's level 5, level 6, you can get higher ones from that, like level 7, level 8, for example. So even if you do fail the map, it's not the be-all, end-all, it's not all doom and gloom. But by bumping this up, you will give yourself the best chance to get as many as you can. You can also use the reforging bench to convert 3 Waystones of the same level and same rarity up a tier of Waystone to the same rarity. So if things get really bad, and this kind of is a last resort, you can buy an unlimited amount of Waystone level 1s, right? So let's buy them here. Let's get just the 3 to show you for an example. Head over to the Reforge bench, pop all 3 in, and you reforge that, and it gives you, because they were all common tier, they weren't magic or rare, it gave me a common Waystone tier 2. You can do that with another 3 level 1s and another 3 level 1s for 3 level 2s, which will then give you a level 3. That's going to get really expensive when you've got a higher level Waystone, so it's not something that I would really recommend that you do unless you really have to. I mean, really have to, okay? But what that is very useful for is all the other lower tier Waystones that you get whilst you're just mapping as you go. This whole stash tab here before had a lot more Waystones in of all these different levels. I just recently condensed it right before this video. If you're powering up your Waystones properly before you go out and you're condensing all of your older ones using the reforging bench, you're not going to run out anytime soon. Now, lastly, I want to talk about the various events that you can do in Endgame and how some of them are just so much better than the others. We're talking Breach, we're talking Delirium, and we all hate Ritual. Let's be real, we all despise Ritual because Ritual sucks. What you can do is you can kind of force which ones you want to see by completing these lost towers over here and then putting a Precursor tablet in them. Now, let's see if there's one that I've completed. Yeah, this one I've completed. And I can pop something in to influence the nodes around it in that sphere over here. If I click off that, you can see, hover over it. You see that sphere that shows up? That circle? Sorry, not the sphere. That shows you the range of the influence, which nodes can be affected, which map nodes can be affected. And that will be depending on which ones we put over here. So I've already, like, irradiated a bunch of these nodes, and I've already added bosses on a bunch of these nodes over here. Now, if there's any others where I can add bosses, I can pop that over here, and it will go for all of them that are available. So one thing that you really want to do, you might have heard other people talking about this as well, one thing that you really want to do is any of the sort of empty nodes that don't have anything on them, it doesn't have corruption on it, not irradiated, it doesn't have a breach on it, you want to clear those out so that when you are spreading your influence through your Precursor tablet, through these lost towers, it will only target the maps that are still remaining, which have cool modifiers, cool events on them already. Let's pop this boss one over here and see what happens. We saw it popped up here, here, and here. So one of them hit that corruption node over there. I love doing bosses. Bosses are one of my favorite things to do. You get amazing loot. You get really good Waystones from it. You get a ton of experience, so it's fantastic for leveling. I absolutely love doing breaches. I love doing delirium. Expeditions, I'm like neither here nor there on. I think they get cooler as you go on later on. But yeah, use your precursor tablets. They are absolutely amazing, and make sure you power them up before you use them. These can be powered up with an Orb of Transmutation to take it from normal to magic, and Orbs of Augmentation to add more magic modifiers to them. That's all you can do. You can't make it rare. So don't worry about that. Don't worry about using your regals on it or anything like that. But you can power them up. So don't just go in raw and use them common, or just with one magic modifier if that's how you found it. And you will find the specific precursor tablets from the events that you're running. So if you're running delirium events, you will find delirium precursor tablets. Same for breach, etc, etc. That's everything I wanted to talk about with PoE2's endgame and how you can improve it for yourself. Hopefully by implementing these things, it will allow you to ruin your life in the same way that I have. If this was at all useful to you and you want to see more PoE2 content on the channel, you can subscribe, as I mainly do Monster Hunter stuff, but I would love to do more PoE2. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you in Rayclast.